The SmorgShow Radio Show.
Test. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hi, everybody. This is Chris, and this is the SmorgShow Podcast. I think we're up to episode 118, and I think this is October 3rd, 2020. And this is Campfire S'morgs. Jerry Malauskas.
Yes.
Hey, welcome back. This time we are on the road.
Yeah. Not only are you out here, and you're announcing everything, you're playing that incredible guitar.
Actually, we have nobody here. This is a pre-recorded bit. This was actually recorded back in 2011, I think, when we did Campfire S'morgs in 2011, and we had a ukulele player come out and play our theme song.
Oh, that's what it is.
And that's what this is. Yeah, I thought this is appropriate.
He's really good.
He's good. Yeah, this is the old Peter Moon song, Pandamus, that we used to open up the old Chris and Dave radio show in high school. And we have so many versions of this song. We had a jazz version or like a lounge version of this song when we did the Carlisle 30th anniversary edition. That was beautiful.
Wow.
And of course the Campfire, and then yeah. All right, I think we can fade it out now. Nice.
Yeah.
Let's just take in the sounds. So we are here at Hoover Forest Preserve in Yorkville, Illinois. It's about, about 60 miles, maybe 50 to 60 miles west of Chicago. Mm-hmm. About 10 or 15 minutes west of the studio. And my wife found this place earlier this year, and it's really been therapy for us during this whole pandemic thing of when you just want to get away and just get out. Mm-hmm. And enjoy something normal. There's nothing more normal than nature.
I like to think so. It's, as you said, therapeutic.
So we did this. So Campfire S'morgs. Did everybody get the play on words there? I thought that was pretty clever. That was when I was coming up with clever things 9-10 years ago. Yeah, the Smorgasbord radio show, Campfire S'morgs, yeah. There's actually a recipe. Well, I'll hold the recipe off a little bit, just to give you some history. Well, let's set the stage. Let's talk a little bit about where we are. Hold on, I need to move my chair a little bit. So we are, just keep talking. I'm going to resituate myself.
Well,
sorry.
Great. Cutting off my recording here.
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying the ambiance.
I brought some of our beers out here.
Yeah. Well, nothing like a good frosty brew when you're surrounded by trees and mosquitoes.
This is like one of the last weekends that we're going to have to enjoy. It's a little chilly. It's October 3rd, and
still comfortable, though.
It's comfortable. We got the fire going, which is fantastic that you and I were able to do that. It's a really manly feeling of putting a fire
together, and we did without matches.
Yeah, well, the gasoline helped.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Yeah. We are at so Hoover Forest Preserve. It's 400 acres of forest located west in Yorkville, stretching for nearly a mile along the Fox River.
Yep.
There's a 5.5 mile upgraded trail system here that leads you to a variety of habitats and scenic overlooks. There's bridges.
Right.
View of the terrific oak-wooded bluffs, steep ravines, unique prairie remnants.
Yeah, we saw some of those earlier. They were quite nice. All the variety of different kind of grasses and plants.
Yeah. Nearly 300 native plant species here are found at Hoover, including some known nowhere else in the county. We're in Kendall County.
Yeah, good old Kendall.
And lots of places for people to do their campsites. Youth groups come out here. In fact, where we're positioned right now is this little pavilion area. I guess you'd call it a pavilion. It's a little roofed canopy kind of a thing here. I don't know how to describe it, but there's a campfire in front of us, and we've got these benches that encompass the area. I mean, so a youth group could come out here. You could sing songs. When Allie and I and the gang, actually, that's the big difference here. When we did this before, we had everybody out here. We had Baba. We had Philip. We had...
Kind of crowded.
It was very crowded.
It's a little more intimate now.
Nothing wrong with two men sharing...
A campfire in the woods? No, I think not. No, not at all.
Eating from the same skewer of our marshmallows. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, let's not push it now.
The thing I remember, though, that was really funny was when we invited Baba to come out here, and we told him to bring the ingredients for the s'mores. And he shows up, and he's got a bunch of samosas. And it's like, what is this? He said, you told me to bring the samosas. I said, no, it was s'mores. I forgot he had no idea what they were. And why would he?
Yeah, I don't think s'mores are big in India.
Yeah. So he thought that was kind of funny. In fact, I told him about it, and I think he's going to be putting that episode. It's a lost episode. He went back and he found it. He's going to put it on his podcast. He says, don't put it on your show. I want to draw some attention to mine. It's like, you don't need attention. You're already like number one in the Hindu
community. Yeah.
So
on iTunes.
So anyway, if you want to hear the bit of Baba bringing the samosas, it's on, just search for Baba Ganesh podcast. It used to be called Not for Baba anymore. That was Dave's contribution, and I think Baba didn't really get it, so he changed it.
I'm not sure if I'm entirely getting it.
Not just for Baba anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you done? Are you just ready for this election to be over? Just want it out, just done.
Yeah. I mean, I've been wanting it since probably March.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. For myriad of different reasons. And it's a weird thing. The election would be over, but I'm not sure all the tomfoolery that's going on currently right now will be over when the election.
No.
I think that's going to go for a few more months.
I think so too.
But at least we'll have some sort of benchmark that, it's not just sitting in the future like, well, this happens, it's going to happen. And whatever happens after that is basically defined by as being post the election. So I think it's going to be important. I mean, I know so many years we've been saying, oh, this election is the make it or break it election. But this year, I of all the elections that I've voted, and I voted my first time voting was the Mondale Reagan. That was in 84.
Same with me, yeah. 84.
Yeah, 84. And it was like,
man, we're old.
I know. But that shows you how many elections we've been through. And I remember in like some sort of social studies or civics class that I had in high school back in 1980 when we talked about the Carter-Reagan election and like who would you support and all that, and how important is this election. And by the way, people forget that in that election there was a third candidate,
Anderson.
John Anderson, I think. And I think he's probably the reason why maybe not entirely, but a strong reason why Carter didn't get back in because he kind of split the vote. But the thing is with this one, I do get the feeling this is a make it or break it type of election.
Yeah, normally you can kind of go with either one, and you're going to get something that you may not have gotten with the other candidate, blah, blah, blah. But generally, the path that you're on is going to go in the same direction.
I just think, we're seeing so many unprecedented things. unprecedented,
Yeah.
happening this year, and actually even in like last year, especially with the impeachment and all of those things, that we just as a body politic in the United States, we've never dealt with any of this before. I mean, we're pushing boundaries, which I personally don't think should have ever been pushed, but it's done now. And I think we're dealing with a situation that, you know, for which side of the fence you fall on it, you know, there's a lot of, you know, I'm trying to think of the kind of phrase I wanted to use. You know, the chips are down for whatever side is. It's very important for either side.
Right. The stakes are so high.
Exactly. That's the word I was looking for.
Well, when I asked the question, are we ready for the election to be over? It wasn't so much to get down too much on that path, but
No,
the thing that came to my mind is that I am tired of being bombarded. It used to be just the yard signs, and they're all over the place, and it's like, okay, well, all that gone. But now, I can't go on any social media platform without a reminder. Did you vote? Don't forget to vote. Oh, make sure you vote. It's like, I'm not 12. I know when election day is. I know if I'm registered to vote, and I can't turn it off. You can close out of it. The next time I go back on Facebook, I get another ad. Did you register to vote? None of your business.
Well, the one thing that I am getting annoyed about is all these mailings promoting mail-in voting. I mean, it may be something that's more particular to Illinois and certain other states, but it's like, hey, you know, you can mail and vote, and you know, you can vote it by mail, and you can do this, and it's like,
I know my options.
What? And not only that I know my options, I don't need 7 different mailings telling me about that option.
Right.
One would have done. Maybe 2 if you really thought it was necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I personally, that's not how I vote. I like to go in physically to the. I don't vote on the most of the time. I've never. Well, no, I can't say I've never voted on election day. I have definitely voted on election day, but in the past, I'd say 10 years, maybe 12 years, I've pretty much done early voting because to me it's just more convenient. And where I live in the city, I think it differs in the city of Chicago where I live. It's kind of all computer voting. Okay, so they don't really have the paper ballot thing going on here.
Right.
So I do remember. I know, was it 1 year? The earliest ones I did. They still did have kind of filled it out, but then they did something. They put it in some sort of machine.
Yes.
To process it or something.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. See,
well, we still have the push pin.
Man. Well,
you just punch it.
I haven't done that since
Banging Chads.
Yeah, well, it would probably been the last time that I remember.
Oh, wait a minute! No, I take that back. We do not have that out here. We have
we fill it in.
Fill it in like a Scantron.
Yeah, and I mean, I used to do. I years ago I used to do that, but now, in Chicago, it's all computerized. So you just go, you press, the different buttons on the computer screen, and that was it.
Yeah,
kind of reminds me of that one episode of what was that? The Simpsons, where Homer was trying to vote for Obama, and every time would just ring up as McCain.
Oh yeah,
it's like I won. I'm ready for some change. It's like you voted for McCain twice. No. So I kind of, I mean, so far I've been seeing that. I mean, the thing is, what it does do, you put all that stuff in, but there is an actual printout of your voting.
Oh,
and you can scan it, you look at it, and in that particular paper.
Yeah. We don't have that.
Yeah.
See if it took it right. Yeah, this, you could just feed it into the machine. I do it personally, and then you get like a little number that says, like I was first to vote. But in my district in the midterm, so
that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you get those little stickers say "I voted"?
I voted. You wear that around town. Hey, I voted.
Yeah, I don't think in the city you get those, unfortunately, which I would have liked.
Budget cuts.
Yeah, well, who knows? But yeah, that's a difference. I mean, see, certain areas they do it a different way. Some have the computer, some still do it with the actual paper ballots. I mean, I personally like the paper ballots. I just feel that it's more of an actual immediate physical record.
Yeah.
I sometimes still, maybe it's my distrust of technology. It's like,
I know. I'm still a little nervous about, computer, You do everything computer. I don't know why I'm so afraid of it, but just for something like that, I just don't think that they've got it yet.
The stakes are too high.
Yeah. And certainly not the mail. I don't know if it ends up in some Volkswagen somewhere in a trunk.
Well, there is already this kind of push. I mean, I think it goes under the concerns about the pandemic. Though, to be honest with you, I mean, we're shopping at Walmart. We're going to Home Depot. We're going to restaurants.
Right.
Why can't you line up socially distanced, which I like to call anti-socially distanced, in line, got your mask on, you go in, you do your vote, they wipe down the screen, or they wipe it before and they wipe it down after, or whatever apparatus you use, sanitize it. You'll go a little slower, but you can do it. You can be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty. I think you can control it. You can control how many people go into the little area.
Plus, here's the thing that you don't get with mail-in voting: you don't have any oversight by election judges.
Right.
You don't have people that are that have volunteered to make sure no funny business is going on.
Yeah, I don't know where it ends up.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't you just mention that something happened where some votes, military ballots, just got thrown out?
Yeah.
So, and then I think there was a case of a problem with some election fraud with mail-in voting in Patterson, New Jersey.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are, I think, legitimate reasons to be concerned.
I just think it's a little too much, too quick. Without, I mean, we just really only started talking about this in the last 6 months. It's not something that we've been like, okay, maybe it's something we do. We consider 4 years from now, hey, we want to be able to do this, so let's start planning for it. It just seems a very rushed and ill-conceived on how it's all going to work out.
Well, I think the ones that are really trying to push it are using the pandemic as their excuse to push, I would say, an agenda, because it's like there's really no need for this level of panic about the voting process. Instead of putting all this time into being concerned about getting mail-in ballots out, why don't we put more time into making the polling places safer environments for people to come and vote?
Yeah. Yeah, they might have to give some consideration to how they're going to do the pens. Like if we're still doing the ballpoint pen and filling in the holes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe you need to figure out how to get a lot of pens disposable ready to go because you're going to sanitize them every time. If people are really concerned about that, or offer some hand sanitizers after you use the pen, just like you do at the grocery store. You're going to use the shopping carts. If you're pushing the shopping carts around, you can handle a pen for a minute. Yeah,
basically. I mean, I think something that is, as far as the actual action itself, is relatively simple, and this relatively simple action is being complicated far beyond the scope of what it should be. You go in, you get your ballot, you fill out your ballot, or you touch the computer screen, get your voting, and you get out. It's not rocket science. This is not a big thing where you're literally in some sort of health-related minefield. It's like, you go in, I went and voted, and I'm all sick, and I'm going to die. No, it's not. Honestly, in my opinion, it's not that serious, especially if you take precautions, which there is plentiful resources to do that. That's all I was going to say.
We're supposed to be taking the nature in here and relaxing, and I feel like I'm already getting tense. It's like we should. Well,
you brought that in.
Yeah, I know. I just asked a question. I said, "Are we ready for the election to be behind us?"
Well, you could have just said something, talk about something.
All right.
Well, there you go.
Let's talk about Campfire S'morgs. So, something more pleasant. So, we came up with this little recipe. This is like 9 years ago. And Allie and I came up with the best combination. It's an alternate version of s'mores, starting with the graham crackers. We chose to use the cinnamon graham crackers instead of the traditional ones. Mm-hmm. Marshmallows, that's a staple. You got to put the marshmallow in there. Instead of the Granny Smith apples, we call it the Granny Rose Smith apple. If you remember, Granny Rose, the little old lady that we rented the barn from.
Oh, okay. From
the 100th episode.
Uh-huh.
She was a regular visitor on our show back then. Mm-hmm. She used to come in with all these little hometown stories and recipes, and she contributed to the early parts of this show. So it was the Granny Smith apple that we used. Granny Rose Smith apples. Creamy peanut butter.
There's definitely a difference than the s'mores recipe,
Yes.
that's for sure.
And then the milk chocolate bars.
Okay.
And so anyway, Allie and I made this recipe, and we.
So wait, how do you melt that over a fire?
Well, you have to smear the peanut butter on the graham cracker, and you put the apple slices on there, and you got the chocolate. And all you do is put the marshmallow. This is traditional, and then so it's a little thicker sandwich.
You got definitely more ingredients, that's for sure.
There you go. Yeah, more ingredients. It's a little more.
I'm just worried
hassle.
about if you put the peanut butter over the open fire, you could get a little runny.
Oh
a
yeah,
little melty.
you wouldn't go anywhere near the fire with the peanut butter.
No, you
No.
could do that.
Okay.
Anyway,
so I have a little bit of a dramatic reading here, and I don't know if we're going to get through them all, but I thought, and I brought this little lamp because it's quite dark out here and it's tough to read.
It's nature, man.
But I'll pass the reader light over to you.
There's not a lot of natural lighting out in the middle of the forest.
No. And
Not at night, anyway.
And we've got this little, we've got our voices projecting over these little, I guess you call them loudspeakers. We've got these monitors in the pavilion here, and it might be echoing a little off. We thought we would maybe draw a crowd. So far, there's nobody out here. It's like dead out here.
Either that or we scared him away, I'm not sure.
It's kind of like the Castaldo Park remote that we did back in high school when nobody showed up except the 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds that sat there and gave us the finger the whole night. That was an ego lifter, that show, let me tell you. Okay, so basically we take turns. I picked, I don't know, 6 or 7 short stories, and Allie and I used to trade off, and Baba would read one, and all the characters would read one. And I call them characters. You know, they are characters, but they were. Anthony Luperini was out here. What is Granny Rose? Kim was here. Allie, Baba, Philip.
Philip.
In fact, you got to listen to one of the old episodes, and they're all interacting. In fact, after this bit, we're going to go into one clip from that show, a song that we did with all of them singing in, and it's beautiful. So, okay. So I'm gonna start here, okay?
Okay.
Oh, by the way, when we read these, don't read the titles, because whoever came up with these stories, the titles of the story actually kind of give away the I don't know why they use them for. You know, it's like girl in the trunk. It's like, okay, and then you find out that there's somebody in the trunk at the end. It's like, well, why would you call it this if you want to make suspense out of it?
Yeah, well, you know.
Okay, this one.
I
I am hearing dogs. There must be a
pack of wild dogs. I think it's coming this way.
I think there might be a neighborhood behind here.
Oh, there you go. Hope they're not dog fighting.
Dog's been barking for like 20 minutes.
Oh, well. It's kind of disturbing my vibe a little bit, man.
I know.
The agitated dogs.
I don't know why I looked up, but when I did, I saw him there. He stood against my window. His forehead rested against the glass, and his eyes were still and light, and he smiled a lipstick red, cartoonish grin. And he just stood there in the window. My wife upstairs sleeping. My son was in his crib, and I couldn't move. I froze, and I watched him looking past me through the glass. Oh, please no. His smile never moved, but he put a hand up and slid it down the glass, watching me. With matted hair and yellow skin and face through the window. I couldn't do anything. I just stayed there frozen, feet still in the bushes. I was pruning, looking into my home. He stood against my window.
Ooh. You get one thing you think in your head, and it's completely opposite.
Exactly.
I get it. Well, okay.
Okay, this one is a little longer. You think you can do the long haul here?
Well, I could do a long haul, but I'll need those.
Oh yeah, I had you
the lights.
The little.
Well, it's just as dark for me as it is for you, dude.
Exactly.
Okay. Ooh, get around my neck here. Okay. All right. Not long ago, before interstate highways ran around towns and cities, a young man left Greensboro late one night to drive to his old home in Lexington. At that time, just east of Jamestown, the old road dipped through a tunnel under the train tracks. The young man knew the road well, but it was a thick, foggy night in early summer, and he drove cautiously, especially when he neared the Jamestown underpass. Many wrecks had taken place in that spot. He slowed down on the curve leading to the tunnel and was halfway through it when his eyes almost popped out of his head. Standing on the roadside just beyond the underpass was an indistinct white figure with arms raised in a gesture of distress. The young man quickly slammed on his brakes and came to a stop beside the figure. It was a girl, young, beautiful, resplendent, in a long white evening dress. Her troubled eyes were glaring straight toward him. Obviously, she was in need. He jumped from the car and ran around to where she stood motionless. "Can I help you?" "Yes." Her voice was low. "Stranger, I want to go home. I live in High Point." He opened the door, and she got in. As they drove off, he said, "I'm glad I came by. I didn't expect to find anyone like you on the road so late at night." "I was at a dance," she spoke in a monotone. "My date and I had a quarrel, and it was very bad. I made him drop me back here." And I gotta go and look.
It's page 2.
Well, you know.
Way to break up the suspense here.
You should have laid it out better for me. Anyway, he tried to continue the conversation, but she said nothing more until they were into High Point. "Turn at the next left," she said. "I live 3 doors down on the right." He parked before a darkened house, got out of the car, and went around to open the door for her. But there was no one there. He looked in the back seat. No one. He thought she must have rushed up the sidewalk and out of sight. Confused and undecided about what to do next, he thought it was only reasonable to find out if she had entered the house. He went up the steps and knocked on the door. No one came. He knocked again. There was no sound anywhere. After a third knock, the side panes, a dim light appeared from the pitch black hallway. Finally, the door was opened by a white-haired woman in a nightrobe. "I brought a girl to this house," he explained, "but now I can't find her. Have you seen her? I picked her up out on the highway." "Where?" "At the Jamestown underpass. She told me she had been to a dance and was on her way home." "Yes, I know," said the woman wearily. "That was my daughter. She was killed in a wreck at that tunnel 5 years ago tonight. And every year since, on this very night, she signals a young man like you to pick her up. She's still trying to get home." The young man turned from the hallway, speechless. The dim light in the house went out. He drove on to Lexington, but never has he forgotten, nor will he ever forget, the beautiful hitchhiker and how she vanished into the night. Now, there's a story.
Interesting, because my next one is a similar theme. It's another hitchhiking story. Oh, I need the light.
Oh, yeah.
But
hold on. By the way, that reminds me of a story that I heard about a similar thing out here in one of our suburbs of Chicago, the Resurrection Mary story.
what's that about?
Well, it's about some people who would like drive down Archer Avenue, and they end up like would be in Willowbrook area, and somewhere between, I guess, would be the Willowbrook ballroom, which existed years and years ago, and the cemetery was just down the road on Archer Avenue. They would pick up this woman. She'd get in a car, and they'd take her, and they said, and she asked to be let out in front of the cemetery. And then you just see her get out and walk down the cemetery, and then she would kind of vanish.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, so that was a big legend.
Yeah, sure.
Of what, so I guess it's not just here in Illinois that it happens.
Exactly. Tom had just left a party and was driving down a dark road all by himself. It was about 12:30 at night and pouring rain. He had only driven about 2 miles when he saw this faint figure walking on the side of the road. As he got closer, he realized it was a young lady, and she was wearing a long white dress. He pulled over and asked her if she would like a ride. She said she would, and she hopped into the front seat. He noticed she was shivering from the rain, so he took off his jacket and offered it to her. She draped the jacket over her shoulders, and they started to talk about nothing in particular. When Tom pulled up to her house, he turned to her and asked her something, but she was gone. Puzzled, he thought maybe she had already ran into her house. The following day, Tom realized that the girl had left in such a rush that she forgot to give him back his jacket. He remembered where her house was and drove there since he did not have a phone number to call. He knocked on the door and an older woman answered. Tom told her he was there to pick up his jacket that her daughter had from the night before. The woman looked at him strangely and told him he must have the wrong house. The man was sure that this was the right place that he dropped the girl off, so he began to describe her and what she was wearing. The old lady was shaken and began to cry. She explained that her only daughter died 10 years ago on prom night, and that the man had described her exactly. She said her daughter was buried up the road at Meadowwood Cemetery. After Tom left the old lady's house, he decided to go find the girl's grave. There, lying on her headstone, was his jacket.
Well, at least she wasn't a thief.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, jeez. This is a nice story. This is a little... It seems like something that we'd be doing for a Halloween episode or something.
Well, it's kind of fun. It's getting close. It's only, 3 weeks away?
All right. Well, I'm going to need the lights again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's not a full moon yet, I don't think. So couldn't use the moonlight. Anywho. A young couple, about 18, decided they would get married after they had finished high school. The father of the bride lived in Palm Beach in a mansion and was able to afford a big wedding for them. To make a long story short, they got married and the wedding was beautiful. After the wedding, they had a big reception in an old building and everyone got fairly drunk. When there was only about 20 people left, the groom decided that they should play hide and seek. Everyone agreed and the groom was it. While he covered his eyes, they all found hiding spots. After about 20 minutes, everyone had been found except for the bride. The guests looked everywhere and tore the whole place apart looking for her. A few hours later, the groom was furious, thinking the bride was playing a terrible trick on him. Eventually, everyone went home. A few weeks later, the groom, having filed a missing persons report, gave up looking for her. Heartbroken, he tried to go on with his life. 3 years later, a little old woman was cleaning up the old building where the reception had been, and she happened to be in the attic and noticed an old trunk. She dusted it off, and out of curiosity opened it. She screamed at the top of her lungs, ran out of the building, and called the police. Apparently, the bride had decided to hide in the trunk for the game of hide and seek. When she sat down, the lid fell, knocking her unconscious and locking her inside. She suffocated after a day or so. When the old woman found her, she was rotting, her mouth hanging open in the shape of a scream. All right, hold on. Let me hand this back to you.
Okay. It's quite chilling.
It is a little chilly out here.
It is getting a little chilly. All right.
That one was kind of creepy
That was creepy.
because it seemed such a mundane thing, and it turned into a horrific experience.
Exactly. I think we've got 3 more here. There's a girl driving along I-70 on the way back to Colorado after visiting her relatives in Illinois. It's about 1 a.m. and it starts raining when she realizes she's almost out of gas. She sees a sign for a gas station about 3 miles ahead and breathes a sigh of relief. But when she gets there, she sees it's one of those old rundown family-owned gas stations. She's scared to stop, but she really has no other choice. As she pulls in, an old man with a disfigured face comes running through the rain. He puts the pump in the tank and asks for her credit card. She hands it to him over the top of the window, and he runs back inside. After a few seconds, he comes back out and tells the girl she will have to come inside. Her card has been denied. Reluctantly, she walks inside. The old man grabs her and tries to tell her something, but she hits him with a can of oil sitting on the counter. She runs back to her car and takes off with the old man screaming and flailing his arms at her. After driving a few miles, she turns on the radio and starts to relax. As she looks in the rearview mirror, she sees someone pop up in the back seat holding an axe above their head. It's the last thing she ever sees. Apparently, the old man at the gas station was trying to warn her.
Oh, man, that's a bummer. That is a bummer.
Yeah, I know exactly those kind of gas stations. Sometimes you don't have a choice.
Well, that reminds me of a time when I was driving around Central Oregon, and I was driving through the high desert of Oregon, and it was funny. As I was driving, I was listening to this Native American radio station, and they were playing like old tapes of like old powwows. So you'd hear like the drumming and the
Native
singing.
American radio station?
Yeah, I know. It's in the middle of Oregon. What do you expect?
Yeah.
I mean, and then I pull in, and I was running out of gas, so I found like one gas station, and it was one of these old kind of rundown. I would figure it was owned by the reservation or somebody on the reservation. I think I was on a reservation at the time. It was probably where I was getting the radio station. It was a reservation radio station. And I just pulled in and then got my gas. And then the lady behind the counter was like she looked like a garden troll. I mean, she's like, it's like paid my gas and got the hell out.
Yeah, sure.
It was definitely got that. When you mentioned that in the story, it's like, whoa. So that's,
Wow.
But I didn't have any maniacs in my back seat, so that's good. So anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that last one was called Backseat Maniac.
Yeah.
See, exactly. They call it Backseat Maniac, but you don't want to say the title before you actually read
I know,
it.
because it gives it away. But the only maniac in that car was me. Anyway.
Oh, on your story.
On my story.
Yeah.
The only maniac. That's the only maniac.
Who did that song in the 80s? Martin Briley? No, that was
no.
I
I hate to say it. I actually do to know that.
Maniac.
Yeah, it's from that What I Feel Flashdance, and that was a guy named Michael Cimbello. Was his only hit?
Yeah, right.
The only hit.
Whatever happened to him? Where is he now?
Who cares?
Okay, hated the song then. Probably hate it now.
I did. Though I did like the flashback.
Flashdance?
What a Feeling song, because I liked Irene Cara and I had a crush on her. So what can I say?
Oh yeah, that was during your Donna Summer days too.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what we need to do? We need to do a soul disco show, and I want you to be DJ Jerry. I want you to do the show by yourself, a Smorg show dedicated to soul music.
Okay.
Okay? Think about it.
I spent 2 years doing it at the
Exactly.
at college station, so why not?
Now we'll have to be creative about it because we don't want to be copyright issues. So what we'll do is we'll play it slightly slow.
Okay.
So the YouTubers don't pick up on the fact that we've no, I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Algorithm, we'll get buried in the algorithm.
You ever watched it? Like they put TV shows on YouTube and they've slowed down the voices or something.
Yeah, they tweak it so that you can.
Who's going to watch that?
I don't know. But I don't know. Is that really a problem with podcasts?
Not so much.
Yeah.
Not this one. I've never been shut down for anything we've done, and we've played some.
Yeah, well, there was that one when we did Oktoberfest. Like, was it 2 years ago? Or?
Yeah, I got a warning from Germany saying that I've played like a copywritten like Oktoberfest song.
Das ist verboten. Schweinhund.
It was just a hand slap. It was not. I was not in serious jeopardy of losing my account.
Well, that's interesting because those Germans get pretty kinky.
Oh, I know.
More than just a hand slap.
Kinky.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, well, I'm in the dark here and drinking beer, and it's, I don't know. And reading scary stories, it's automatically put me in a different mood.
Beer liking from last week's episode.
I'll tell you what, I'm feeling like that. Anyway,
okay.
Going into the story, and I won't say the name of this one because we'll probably give it away too.
Yeah.
But is this a relatively short one, by the way?
That's it.
Oh, that is good. I was getting tired of all that long reading.
Yeah, this is a short one for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Ever since Julie was a little girl, when she got scared, she'd put her hand under her bed and her dog would lick her hand to comfort her. Well, no, Julie was 14 and her parents were going out and were going to be out until late at night. Julie didn't want to stay home alone, but her parents told her that she was old enough to stay home alone and she would be fine. Well, Julie's parents left at 8 p.m. After an hour and a half of watching TV, Julie went to bed. She was kind of scared, sleeping with no one at home, when she heard a whimpering sound, almost like a puppy whimpering.
Whining.
Or whining, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of redundant anyway. She put her hand under the bed and her hand got licked. So she tried to fall asleep again. Then she heard it again, the whimpering sound. So she put her hand under her bed and her hand again got licked. She finally fell asleep and was woken up in the morning to the sound of her dog barking in the backyard. He had been outside all night long. So there was a pervert under her bed licking her hand. Good, I guess.
Okay, we got one more here.
Would this go under the title? There's a title of like weird stories, unsettling stories, creepy stories called creepy pasta. Would this be something?
Creepy pasta?
Yeah, there's like these stories.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, it's like these stories of like, well, a good example of that would be. Have you ever heard of it? It's kind of an internet meme theme, whatever. The Slender Man. Are you familiar?
Oh yeah, Ellie was into him.
Yeah, that's a creepy.
That was
pasta.
very creepy.
Yeah, I mean, you just like so that's what I was thinking. That one was a bit scary. These are more just kind of generally unnerving.
Yeah,
that was like completely like you see a Slender Man, you were done.
Yeah, I tried to find some really scary things online for this, but they started to go into the paranormal, and I just don't like to do that sort of thing. So
you wanted more suspense, less the horror.
Right.
Okay.
Some boys and girls were at a party one night. There was a graveyard down the street, and they were talking about how scary it was. "Don't ever stand on a grave after dark," one of the boys said. "The person inside will grab you. He'll pull you under." "That's not true," one of the girls said. "It's just a superstition." "I'll give you $1 if you stand on a grave," said the boy. "A grave doesn't scare me," said the girl. "I'll do it right now." The boy handed her his knife. "Stick this knife in one of the graves," he said. "Then we'll know you were there." The graveyard was filled with shadows and was as quiet as death. There is nothing to be scared of, the girl told herself, but she was scared anyway. She picked out a grave and stood on it. Then quickly she bent over and plunged the knife into the soil and started to leave. But she couldn't get away. Something was holding her back. She tried a second time to leave, but she couldn't move. She was filled with terror. "Something has got me," she screamed, and she fell on the ground. When she didn't come back, the others went to go look for her. They found her body sprawled across the grave. Without realizing it, she had plunged the knife through her skirt and had pinned it to the ground. It was only the knife that had held her. She had died of fright.
Wow. She should have worn pants. Maybe it would have come out better.
Yeah, that's right.
But I do like that because it's, again, it gives you this, like, oh, you think it's like going to be this creepy. It's like, no, I'm just an idiot. Like that girl who hid in the trunk and then killed herself because of her stupidity.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah. So let's lighten the mood here a little bit.
Yeah, first you talk about elections, then you talk about people killing themselves with their stupidity.
Exactly. So we're going to play this. This will be fun to listen to. Of course, you know, we talked about it on the last episode. Allie is living on her own now, so I don't know how often she'll be back on the podcast. I know she's going to want to phone in or come out every now and then, but she's on this recording. In fact, she actually carries the tune. She was about, I guess, 12, maybe 13 at the time. So this is good memories of this song. This is from Campfire S'morgs 2011. 9 years ago. I can't believe it. But we'll be back after this, and we'll kind of wrap things up, close things out for the night. Actually, no. Baba has a recording he has sent in to us, so we have to figure out how to play that somehow. But we'll figure it out during the song. We'll be right back on the SmorgShow Podcast.
He was born in the summer of his 27th year, coming home to a place he'd never been before. He left yesterday behind him. You might say he was born again. You might say he found a key for every door. When he first came to the mountains, his life was far away, on the road and hanging by a song. But the string's already broken and he doesn't really care. It keeps changing fast and it don't last for long. But the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. The shadow from the starlight is softer than a lullaby. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado.
That's right.
He climbed cathedral mountains, he saw silver clouds below. He saw everything as far as you can see. And they say that he got crazy once and he tried to touch the sun. And he lost a friend but kept his memory. Now he walks in quiet solitude, the forest and the streams, seeking grace in every step he takes. His sight has turned inside himself to try and understand the serenity of a clear blue mountain lake.
And the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky.
You can
Talk to God and listen to the casual reply. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado.
That's right.
Now his life is full of wonder, but his heart still knows some fear of a simple thing he cannot comprehend.
why they try to tear the mountains down to bring in a couple more people, more scars upon the land.
And the Colorado Rocky Mountain High, I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. I know he'd be a poor man if he never saw an eagle fly. Rocky Mountain High, it's a Colorado Rocky Mountain High. I've seen it rain and fire in the sky. Friends around the campfire and everybody's high. Rocky Mountain 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 High. All right, guys, not bad.
It was a little off.
First time, not knowing the song, doing it live.
Yeah, it was good for the most part.
Philip, you were a little bit off.
You've got to be kidding me.
Baba, we really couldn't hear you. What are you talking about?
Judy, you need to work on those notes.
What do you say? Anthony, I don't know what was coming out of your mouth. Hello, everybody. This is Baba Ganush. And I have returned to my studio in Mumbai, India. Things are looking up for the coronavirus here, and we are getting back to normal, sort of. So I have snuck into my studio, and I am here to deliver Spicy Baba. Yes, another episode of Baba Blue. It has been a while that Baba has been able to get a little spicy. So here we go, live from my Dropbox. A few months ago, we talked about Sunny Leone. Oh, Sunny Leone, a former porn star who is turned Bollywood actress. She recently got in the news again. Not in the nude, in the news again. She shared a cryptic post about people commenting on others without knowing them. After Indian actress Kangana Ranaut. Is that how you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it?
Kangana Ranaut.
Yes, that is it. Kangana Ranaut. She brought Sunny up in her ongoing spat with yet another Indian actress, Urmila Matondkar. I need some help on this one too.
Urmila Matondkar.
Yes, that is what I said. Kangana had called Urmila a soft porn star in a television interview and had later justified her comment by suggesting that she had not meant it in a derogatory manner, and pointing out that the film industry had welcomed former adult star Sunny Leone. Sunny last Friday took to Instagram to share a picture of herself with the caption, "Lunch date, catching up on world drama." The second photo in her post was a little bit more telling, however. It read, "It's funny how the people that know the least about you have the most to say." Sunny's post has been liked over 400,000 times. One of those times was yours sincerely. Accurate, one person wrote in the comments section. Defending her comments against Urmila, Kangana had written in a tweet that is on twitter.com, "Liberal Brigade once virtually lynched a renowned writer into silence for saying people like Sunny Leone should not be our role models. Sunny is accepted by the industry and entire India as an artist. Suddenly, fake feminists are equating being a porn star to something derogatory." Kangana's war of words with Urmila began when she appeared on television and called Urmila a soft porn star, who she said is not known for her acting. Kangana was under the impression that Urmila had questioned her motives in her fight against the Shiv Sena. Urmila, speaking to journalist Barka Dutt, said she had never brought up the BJP or Kangana's political motivations in any interview. And that concludes that story. In other India news, India has decided to boycott Chinese products on all fronts to protest the latter's stand on disputed territories and their failure to inform India on the coronavirus. Meanwhile, Chinese textile mills are rolling out an all-new clothing line, Boycott China, and are anticipating great demand from India. Finally, India is taking social distancing seriously. Citizens without masks were seen getting hard whacks on the behind by policemen with batons as punishment. When asked if the punishment is too severe, one constable responded, "Not at all, I'm just flattening the curve." And this has been Baba Blue, Spicy Baba. I return to you to the SmorgShow Podcast, already in progress.
Flattening the curve. Sheesh. Well, that was definitely spicy there, Baba.
Spicy Baba. Yeah, he's not doing so well, not doing so too poorly. He's I think he's coming up on 78 now, next month.
He's 78, but still blue.
Yeah. Let's see. What else did I have here?
He's blue, but not blue in the way as Lord Krishna.
Oh, we saw him. Wait, no.
You saw Lord Krishna?
No. Who did we see? Oh, I'm thinking of who did we see back in the early 90s?
Sri
Chimnoy.
He's dead.
Yeah.
He's finally died.
I know he died. I thought they lived forever.
Not him. I think he got struck down by the gods for playing such awful music.
So there is just a quick couple of notes here. Tech news. Illinois Facebook users can now file a $650 million lawsuit settlement. You may be entitled to a payout ranging from $200 to $400 if you were on Facebook after 2011 and had a photo uploaded, and it was used in some sort of biometric tracking. I wish I would have summarized this a little better.
Hey, maybe I got some money coming to me.
Am I eligible to receive a payment from the settlement? How much money will I receive? Between $200 and $400. You could file your claim here. So apparently, if Facebook users located in Illinois who appeared in a picture uploaded to Facebook after June 7th, 2011 may be entitled to a payoff. Something to do with a privacy law in Illinois. So anyway, I clicked on the link. So anybody who's listening from Illinois, it's worth it.
Yeah, you'll have to give me that information because I didn't know about it.
Yeah, you were on Facebook back then, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I was thick as thieves on Facebook back then.
I know.
Yeah. Were you on Facebook back then?
Yeah, I think I signed up in 2008.
I beat you by a year. I signed up in 2007.
Yeah, maybe something. Yeah, somewhere on there.
But I didn't start using it until 2009.
Just one final thing, just talking about the quarantine, that there are, I was at church last weekend and the pastor was talking about, he actually brought this article up and I thought it was interesting. He was talking about Planet Fitness had just reopened recently, and he just went up to the counter and just said, "Hey, just how's attendance going now that you've been open?" They said, "Well, we used to average 1,500 visitors on a daily basis on average, and now we're down to about 600. And we may never ever see large part of the people back ever again."
That sucks.
So then he pivoted into an article who talked about 5 types of church members who will not return after the quarantine. And the 5, the first one is, let's see, let me just set it up a little bit. Not all church members who were attending regularly before the pandemic will return. Somewhere between 20 and 30% of the members will not return to your church. This is put out in some some church publication.
Mm-hmm.
So who are these non-returning church members? Why are they not returning? The 5 most common dropout groups. Number 1, the decreasing attendance members. These were your members who at one time attended church almost 4 times a month, but before the pandemic, their frequency of attendance declined to twice a month or even once a month, and COVID accelerated their trends. And now they're attending 0 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
The disconnected church members. If a church member is in a small group, his or her likelihood of returning is high. If they attended worship only, their likelihood of attendance is much lower. Please let this reality be a strong motivation to emphasize in-person small groups once everybody feels safe to return. So this is all obviously directed towards the clergy. And number 3, the church is another activity. Church members. So these church members see gathered attendance as yet another activity on par or lower than other activities. They were the church members who let inclement weather keep them from church, but not their children's Sunday soccer games. Commitment to the church was a lower priority before the pandemic. They have no commitment in the post-quarantine era. The constant critic church members. These are the church members who always had some kind of complaints for the pastor. In fact, your pastor may be dying a death by 1,000 cuts. They are likely still complaining even though they have not returned in person to the in-person services, and they may not return at all. And then finally, the cultural Christian church members. These are the part of a declining group well before the pandemic. They were those church members who likely were not Christians, but they came to church to be accepted culturally. Today, there are few cultural expectations for people to attend church. These cultural Christians learned from the pandemic that it was no big deal to miss church, and it'll be no big deal if they ever return.
Right. Actually, it's funny you should mention that because that ties into the discussion we had with something you shared with me when you were watching, I guess, the Candace Owens show. Or was she interviewed by somebody?
She was interviewing
Alice Stuckley?
Stuckey.
Yeah. I just always think of that restaurant chain. Stuckey's, yeah.
Yeah,
and but in regard
like a Cracker Barrel?
Something like that, yeah. Probably. I've never been to a Cracker Barrel. I've never been to a Cracker Barrel. But anyway, that's what they brought up is the idea of the cultural Christian, which is basically would be a dying group. It's not just the COVID that I think is kind of doing that, but it's also kind of the cultural milieu that has kind of taken over large chunks of popular culture and society that are it's kind of, to use a biblical term, separating the wheat from the chaff.
The chaff, yeah.
Because these people would go to church and they, it says a social obligation or what have you, and kind of, feeling part of a group and all that, but they never really got much out of the Gospels. They weren't really going for spiritual reasons. So I think what you're going to find, especially the COVID, might have been a blessing in disguise because now it's culling out or getting rid of the kind of the hangers-on, the ones that just kind of went because it was something to do, as we mentioned, and really focusing more on the ones that are spiritual Christians, the ones that are walking the path, they're reading the Bible, they're getting something from the sermons, they're applying it to their life. So that kind of Christian they're not going to walk away because that's something that is like a cornerstone of their existence. Whereas these other ones that were in there, that's like you said, it was an activity.
Yeah. Well, then you got the other viewpoint of like, okay, it could be the 99 sheep versus the one. It's like Jesus goes after the one that's missing, so
right.
It goes off on its own, and so maybe those people they were in there. It's not good that they're like totally going away from it, but anyway.
Yeah. I just think that but I think in the end, it's like
ultimately we don't want to just be surrounded by like-minded Christians. We want to be able to expand the tent.
I agree with that. I agree with that, but I do think in the end, though, you really do have to. I mean, I don't want to make too fine a point of it. Darn dogs.
That
man.
Dog won't.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but But I just think that as far as those Christians that are kind of fading away, I mean, maybe it's something, maybe down the line they'll go on their circuitous route and they'll come back to the church when they find that they really need that spiritual food.
Yeah.
You know, from the church experience and from, you know, delving into the Bible and working with their pastor, these sort of things.
Yeah.
And some just won't. And that just, I think that the COVID situation, and also you have to think about the fact that a lot of churches are kind of, they used to say being in the world but not of it.
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of churches that are very much of the world.
Yes.
So they're just kind of, I don't think they're going to get as committed people going to the churches because, like, again, it follows the vicissitudes of what's ever happening in human society. It's not rooted in a kind of more spiritual underpinning.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was all I had to say.
Yeah, no, I get it. Allie's church, tomorrow's her last day. So for the past couple of years, she's been leading the worship team there. But because she moved, it's just the right time to be breaking away. But that church is just finally starting to get in person again. But it's not really in person indoors. It's parking lot services. But get this. People still have to sit in their cars, and they have to keep their windows rolled up if they're going to sing. Now, what kind of science doesn't allow you to open up your car windows because it's going to travel outside of your car and get into somebody else's car?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they should be part of some sort of. I'm not going to go there.
So anyway, they're slowly starting to get back in, but they're still not.
Wasn't this the same church? Wasn't this the same church when they do a baptism? The
squirt gun.
The squirt gun, the baby?
Hold the baby 6 feet away from the pastor, and he squirts water at the baby's head.
Yeah. That kid's going to grow up fine. No problems there.
What if they give communion that way, too? They just shoot
the wine.
Or the wine or the grape juice through in the air and just,
open your mouth.
Yeah.
And there's like somebody just tossing the host into the...
So you asked to actually accompany me tomorrow for church service, which will be kind of... I'm anxious to bring you there. It's kind of... Yeah.
It may be kind of dangerous because I think the church might fall in when I walk in. Spawn of the devil that I am, but...
No, it'll just open up and there'll be just you know, like with the Blues Brothers scene. When
We're on a mission from God.
But yeah, this is my church is indoors now and it's pretty full capacity again. It's amazing that Pritzker hasn't tried to shut it down.
You know, I kind of wonder about that, and I kind of wonder how much he's really going to push the issue because. Unlike some other governors that are, not to say that this particular governor has strong ideological feelings about things. Maybe it's something about Illinois. We tend to be a little bit more pragmatic. Like California, they're just off the chain there. I don't know what the heck they're doing over there. And New York's pretty much the same. But somehow I think, in Minnesota, which I would think it's Midwesty to be more grounded, but they seem to be crazy over there. But as far as Illinois, I think Pritzker won't push it. I mean, if it were in the city where I live, with our mayor, who I call Lori Leadfoot, not Lightfoot,
yeah,
because she likes to put her lead foot down on, all law and order,
sure,
except when it's like BLM protests, it's a different story. But that might be the case. But I think where you're at out here, it's probably fine. And I don't think there's anybody out there snitching. Oh, this place all filled with worshipers. We'll send the police out. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think, honestly, if you're basing your faith, then you know that God will open up a way for you to have your worship, to keep that community, that core church community alive.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So it'll be good to have you there. And
hallelujah.
Hallelujah. But yeah, I think Ellie's leaving at the right time. I think they're starting a whole new series. It's called Yes, We Do Talk About This in Church. And there's subjects like gender and white guilt and
social justice.
Yes. It's like, okay, well, I want that. I'll put on
CNN.
And, exactly. I don't need to go. Anyway, well,
Yeah,
that's another topic.
I know, and but it goes back to what saying about the churches that are more worldly as opposed to ones that are more spiritually or biblically based. So it depends on what kind of Christian you feel you're gonna be. That's all.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think this park closes at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I think I saw a cop car driving through, or one of those Kendall County sheriffs.
It kind of reminds me of just a quick story when Pete, one of the original founders of the Smorgasbord radio show, he and I went to Danville, Illinois to see a friend that we grew up with. And she said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we go to the cemetery and just like not camp out, but like hang out there and just, I don't know, do some, I had my tape recorder then and we were doing some campfire songs and stuff like that. I have that tape somewhere. It'd be interesting to bring it up again. But anyway, they started to close up the cemetery and we weren't supposed to be in there because this is like 11 o'clock at night. And they ended up closing the gates.
Oh, no.
And we were stuck in the cemetery. And I had my Toyota Celica at the time. And I decided to drive down as far on the perimeter. I'm on the grass, basically, going along parallel to this gate. And then at the very end of the gate, there's like this opening that can go back to the highway. Not the highway. It was like a rural road, but it was like, like a rural road, 40, 50 mile an hour. But there was a steep incline of the grass, off the shoulder that would go down into the cemetery. And the only way for me to escape is to actually drive up this hill. And of course I can't just go straight up because the incline was so high. So I'm kind of driving parallel to the road, gradually trying to get up to the main road. And it was, I don't know, it was dewy or something, but there was too much, the tires weren't catching or something. And it just slid me back down into the cemetery property, whatever. I couldn't get out. I was trapped. So we had to call for a tow truck and it was a disaster. That was a long story to basically say I got trapped in a cemetery in Danville, Illinois many, many years ago. And it was quite terrifying, actually.
I was going to say, if you had like a tape recorder with you, maybe you could pick up some EVP. Of course, you don't know what EVP is. It's electronic voice phenomena.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
You could have got ghost voices, man.
I know.
Well, too late.
I had my bass guitar. Remember when I got that bass guitar in high school?
I bought it from you.
Well, you were with me when you didn't buy it for me.
No, I bought it from you.
Oh, you bought it from me, yes. But I think you were with me when I bought it.
Yeah, I was.
It was one of my stupidest ideas.
Well, you had this vision in your mind. You were on stage playing bass guitar like Roger Waters from Pink Floyd.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I brought the bass guitar out there. Why?
You're going to serenade your friend on bass?
Yeah. And we were singing John Denver songs.
Rocky Mountain.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's going to wrap up here before we get locked in here. Hey, just how we started it. Well, Jerry,
aren't you playing bass on this? There's no bass.
No bass on here. Well, we managed to squeak an hour and 15 minutes almost out of the show. This is Chris, and this is my good friend Jerry, and we do the SmorgShow Podcast together now that Allie left me.
Left you for good.
Allie went off to
live her life and get those things.
I know.
You empty nester.
I got to give her a microphone. I got to give her a microphone. I need to give Dave a microphone so that they can both call in and actually have some decent quality. So,
instead of relying on me all the time.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. I don't know when we're going to do a show again. Hopefully, maybe at the end of October. Maybe you and Dave can both be out here in person, and
maybe I'll Zoom this time. I'll stay home on my couch and like lay back. What are you guys talking about?
Well, we could do a Halloween episode, although I feel like we had one tonight in a way. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, we're out of here. Thanks for joining us. We're gonna load up the car, and we're gonna go check out to see if that dog is still in the area. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.